Hello, dear students, and welcome once again to this e class. And we were continuing with the chapter Writing and City Life. So, today we start with urbanism. Let's see this flow chart: economic factors in a city, urbanism, trade, and record of transactions. So, under urbanism, we are going to see cities and towns. They were the places for economic development, places for city manufacturers. And under trade, we are going to see they traded in textiles and agricultural products for wood, copper, tin, silver, gold, and various stones from Turkey, and even they got iron also. Canals and natural channels were, in fact, the routes for goods transport. Euphrates became a world route, famous world route. And then we see record of transaction. Writing began in Mesopotamia in 3200 BCE, and it became a mode of transaction of records till 2600 BCE. So now we are going to see the significance of urbanism, showing the division of labor. Here you can see a flow chart showing the cover of a stone seal, the bronze tools, colored stones, copper tin, and supply of charcoal. So let me read out to you that in city there is a division of labor. People are interdependent on each other. For example, the carver of a stone seal requires bronze tools that he himself cannot make and colored stones for the seals that he does not know where to get from. So his specialization is fine carving and not trading. Now, the bronze tool maker does not himself go out to get the metals, copper and tin. Besides, he needs regular supplies of charcoal for fuel. The division of labor is a mark of urban life. So, here we see how people are interdependent on each other. Now we are going to see the movement of goods in cities, and in this flow chart you see how things are interdependent. That is, Mesopotamia had abundance of food resources which could be exported, but at the same time it had lack of tools, it had lack of stones for making jewelry, it had to import these items. And importance of Euphrates, it was acting as a world route. There was development of writing, and tablets came up, which were written around 3200 BCE, which played an important role to keep records of transactions. And the mode of writing was cuneiform script. Next, we are going to see the movements of goods in cities. And Mesopotamia was rich in food resources, but it lacked the following things like stones for tool making, stones for making seals and jewelry. It did not have good quality wood also. It had the wood of poplar and date palm, which were not strong enough. They were not strong enough for making carts, cart wheels, or boats. They did not have proper metals for making tools, vessels, or ornaments. So ancient Mesopotamia, it traded their abundant textiles and agricultural produce for wood, copper, tin, silver, gold, shell, and various stones from Turkey and Iran or across the Gulf. The cheapest mode of transportation was water, and the canals and the natural channels of ancient Mesopotamia were the routes of good transport between large and small settlements in Mesopotamia. So, this is the way the goods were moving in the cities. Next, we are going to see the development of writing, how writing developed. Writing or script means spoken sounds which are represented in visible signs. The first Mesopotamian tablets were written around 3200 BCE, and these tablets contained picture like signs and numbers. And you can imagine about 5,000 lists of oxen, fish, bread, loaves, etc. The list of goods that were brought into or distributed from the temples of Uruk, which was a city in the south. So, writing began when society needed to keep records of transactions. That was the time when people felt the necessity to write and keep a note of the transactions. As we know that the Mesopotamians wrote on clay tablets, and these tablets were of various shapes. They were round, they were square, they were cylindrical, and they were made and they were sun dried basically. And they had various signs and symbols. And as we can see that they contain about more than 5,000 signs and symbols. So only people who could remember these signs and symbols could write, especially the scribes. Next, we are going to see more about writing, and as we have seen that Mesopotamians they wrote on clay tablets, and a person who writes, or in those days who wrote, was known as a scribe. First of all, he would wet clay and pat it into a size he could hold comfortably in one hand. Then he would carefully smoothen its surfaces. With the sharp end of a reed cut obliquely, he would press wedge-shaped cuneiform signs onto the smoothened surface while it was still moist. And once dried in the sun, the clay would harden and the tablets would be almost as destructible as pottery. And once the written record ceased to be relevant, the tablet was thrown away. So it was seen that this writing was a very important mode to convey. Once the surface dried, signs could not be pressed onto the tablet. So even the minor transaction required, as we have seen in the previous slide, that once the surface dried, the signs could not be pressed onto the tablet. So even the most minor of transaction required a separate written tablet. So they had loads and loads of tablets. And around 2600 BCE, the letters became cuneiform and the language became Sumerian. So writing was now for the following purposes: keeping records, making dictionaries, giving legal validity to land transfers, narrating of deeds of kings, announcing the changes a king had made in the customary laws of the land. And around 2400 BCE, the language Sumerian was replaced by Akkadian language, and cuneiform was the script in which everything was written. Now, cuneiform word is derived from Latin words cuneus, which means wedge, and forma, which means shape. So, cuneiform was the script of the Mesopotamians.